Your Private Island, we'll travel down under to a remote island off the coast of Tasmania. Relish the unspoiled beauty of this windswept Eden known as Swan Island, as we join an American couple who traveled to the end of the earth to celebrate his 40th birthday on Your Private Island.
I've always had this dream of going to Australia, to go to a place that has fewer people, that has more rugged terrain that you hear about, just wide open spaces and wild places.
When Jason told me he wanted to spend his 40th birthday on Swan Island, I thought it was kind of crazy. I mean, he's always wanted to go to Australia, but Swan Island is some strange remote place I've never heard of before off the coast of Tasmania.
The trip to Swan Island from their home in Los Angeles began with a 15-and-a-half-hour flight to Melbourne, followed by a 1-hour flight to Launceston. Swan Island is located off the northeast coast of Tasmania and can be reached in 45 minutes by charter plane. Jason and Dana decided to stop over in Deloraine before going on to Swan Island.
I wanted a transitionary place, a place that would be relaxing and maybe a little more luxurious than what we'd find in Swan Island.
I felt like I was staying at someone's wonderful home and was able to unwind from the long plane ride. Remy, the chef there who runs the place, cooked us this beautiful dinner. It was the perfect way to spend our first night in Tasmania.
I'd like to do some hiking tomorrow. Maybe see a waterfall or see what we can find.
How beautiful this is.
The next day, Remy made us a great picnic to take up to Liffey Falls. It's just a beautiful, lush waterfall in a rainforest region in Tasmania. When you think of Tasmania, the first thing that everyone says is, oh, the Tasmanian devil. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to see a Tasmanian devil on the island of Tasmania? This is it.
Okay, these are the Tassies.
Wow.
Tasmanian devil.
I expected it to be much larger and more fierce looking. It actually looked a little bit like a combination between a rat and a small dog. They looked really sweet.
What kind of similarities do these guys have as the cartoon Tasmanian devil have?
Absolutely no similarity whatsoever. Like Taz on TV is sweeping through trees.
Right.
They're not fast.
They're not fast. They're slow.
Got a little surprise for you.
Oh yeah?
These are my babies.
Your
Your babies.
They're babies. I haven't been walking around with the beer gut. We've got 2 juvenile devils.
At one point, Chris actually handed one over to me and handed one to Dana as well. I just thought to myself, how many people in life get a chance to hold a Tasmanian devil? That was one of the true special moments that I've ever experienced. Well, I think we have our souvenirs that we're going to take home from Tasmania now.
Yeah, we did.
Getting to Swan Island is not an easy process. We chartered a plane to get over here.
Ready to go?
I think so. Let's head out to the private island.
As will ever be.
It was one of the more hair-raising experiences that we had on the entire trip, especially for Dana.
It was horrible. We had to go through a mountain pass where the wind was blowing intensely and we were up and down and side to side.
I remember popping a few pictures with my digital cameras. And at one point I looked over to Dana, kind of shot me a little glare, like, where are you taking me and what am I doing here? I tried to comfort her, but at that point she was beyond the being comforted level. When we flew into Swan Island, the first thing I noticed was just this amazing, beautiful white lighthouse. Just seeing that let me know that I was really in a special place. We were immediately greeted by the caretakers, Nigel and Erica and Alan, who actually live here. How do you do?
Intense.
Few bumps
Severe.
here and there.
Lots of bumps.
Did it.
Crazy.
First we have to clear customs.
Customs? We have to clear customs. There was a customs office. It was basically a shack with customs painted on it. Then we were loaded into the Swan Island limousine.
Nothing can be as turbulent as the flight, so we're all set at this point.
Gave me a sense that these people were okay, that these people had a nice sense of humor about things. And seeing the limousine and the customs office made me feel like I'm in an environment where I think I'm going to have some fun.
A little bumpy action going.
Yeah.
We were staying at the head lighthouse keeper's residence, which is actually one of the bigger houses on the island. But that didn't necessarily mean the most luxurious accommodations, especially coming from the Calstock Country Guest House.
Cool.
No keys, huh?
No, no, not needed.
The head lighthouse keeper's house is a little rustic. Not quite as nice as places that we normally stay. It's definitely roughing it a bit, which is fine for a few days. How fast do you think the wind is blowing on a day like today?
It's been up to 45 knots.
45 knots?
Yes, which is
good
quite
wind.
strong, yeah.
Wind.
Good kite flying weather.
Oh yes, it probably you can't go all the way to New Zealand, I think.
What year was the lighthouse built?
1845.
1845.
Yeah, it was built by convicts. They had a gang of 36 convicts and they virtually slept on the job.
The lighthouse was a cool thing to have on the island. It was just a beautiful thing to look at and stand below and look up at the clouds moving above. One afternoon we decided to go up there. We found out it was the windiest point on the island. It was incredible.
We found out when wind hits a circular building that it actually picks up in speed. So what we did is we just ran around the lighthouse, and on one side of it, it was just pushing against you, so you could hardly even walk. But when you turned to the other side, it would push behind you, so that you literally could jump up in the air and be pushed 2 or 3 feet. We were like kids just playing at an amusement park. We went around and around for probably about a half an hour playing on that thing. It was so much fun.
I'd like to make a toast to our hosts. Thank you for having us.
The first night we were here, we had dinner with Alan, Erica, and Nigel in their house.
It's very good.
It was really nice to sit down and actually have a home-cooked meal with some people that live on an island, to learn about their lives and how people live kind of a life of isolation.
So what are the evenings like here?
Well, usually very peaceful, calm. Watch the sun setting. Wait for the light to come on in the tower.
Any suggestions for explorations tomorrow?
Maybe some sand dune surfing. Have you ever been up something like that?
No.
I've got a place called Death Valley, and what we'll do is we'll strap a board to your feet and throw you off it and see if you don't break it even at the bottom.
So it's
It's like this.
Straight down the middle.
One of the things Swan Island offers is just a ton of diversity. You have beautiful beaches that look like places in Tahiti or in Hawaii, and you also have an interior that's more desert-like. Nigel's lived on Swan Island for about 3 years, and living in an isolated location, he's come up with some pretty unique things to do on the island. How steep are these things?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that. Don't get surprised.
Surprise?
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous.
Well, I haven't broken anything yet.
One of the things he showed us was sand surfing. Now, how did you ever discover this sport? Is this something you just thought of on your 3.5 years here?
Oh, I actually saw it on telly. They do the same thing down in the west coast of Tasmania.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
I sort of looked at it and I thought, gee, I've got some sand dunes like that. I should do that as well.
Basically, you take a snowboard, sat down on it, and went down about 50 feet on these very steep dunes down towards the beach. Oh, wow, look at the rocks at the bottom of that thing.
I'll have a go at it and I'll show you how things are done.
Okay.
Want to hold my hat for me?
All right, yeah, show me how it's done. Oh, he's sitting down.
Oh, no, I can't stand up. Not that much, not that crazy.
You need a push? Oh, yeah!
When I first heard about the sand surfing, I was excited. I thought it would be fun, but when we got out there and saw it, it looked a little bit steep to me.
You doing it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You gonna give it a try?
I guess we have to. When in Swan Island.
Do what the king says.
King Nodge. Okay, I think I'll give it a go.
In between the rocks, remember.
In between the rocks. Nick?
Straight down the middle.
When I saw Jason going down and hitting the wet sand directly, I chickened out. So I was glad that there was a kiddie slide as an alternative.
Excellent.
Your turn now.
Dana had enough of a thrill on the plane ride on the way over, so she didn't really want any more thrills here on the island. So she went down the bunny slope for just a little bit of a tamer ride. You want to go try the big one now?
No, that's okay. That was fun enough.
Swan Island is actually a weather station, and one of the things that the caretakers do here is they measure the weather.
I come up here every day, 6 times a day, to do weather observations for the Weather Bureau in Hobart.
Wow, every, 3 hours or so?
Once every 3 hours. And you know, there's people all the way around the world doing exactly the same thing at the same time.
I have never really thought about how the weather is reported and the fact that there are, people out there gathering this information and making these observations. So it's kind of neat to see.
And once a day I have to read the maximum and minimum temperatures and then reset those thermometers.
Why wouldn't you have this station right next to the house so you wouldn't have to walk up the hill?
Well, life's not meant to be easy. No, this is a good lookout from up here. They've got to be in a place where they're going to sense the air temperatures and other conditions.
Okay.
And my wife Erica sends it to the Weather Bureau by computer.
So you guys are a team.
Oh, that's right, they have to be.
Such a stark contrast from the other side of the island.
Yeah.
Just kind of found this beach and just didn't even expect it to be here.
Yeah. At Swan Island, there's several beaches, and I know I can go to any of the beaches on this island, and I'm not going to see a soul.
The beaches are beautiful. They're white sand, blue water. You walk down there and you think, I'm in paradise, but the water is freezing, so we have not been doing any swimming. But it's beautiful to look at.
Oh, that's a big fish in the water right there. You see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's huge.
I love traveling with Jason. He's adventurous and really lives in the moment and willing to try different things and go new places.
There's nothing more relaxing than the sound of water.
I know. You could sleep out here.
And those are the best moments that we share together, when we can really get away from it all. Our lives are pretty hectic. 15-hour days are not uncommon in our jobs, and so getting away is probably the most coveted time that I can find. Oh, man.
Oh,
Beautiful,
wow.
huh?
It is beautiful.
That's where we did the sand surfing earlier. I can still see my tracks, as a matter of fact. Every time you turn the corner here in Swan Island, there's just another piece of beauty that you're going to uncover. All right. One evening, Nigel picked us up and drove us out to the other side of the island. I can't believe we're actually going to see penguins.
Nigel told us about these fairy penguins that come in off the ocean every night about the same time after fishing all day and go to their little nests.
All right.
So they come. Oh.
Exactly at 8:30, they started marching up the sand and walking right past us within arm's reach, and it was really one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Did you see those? I wasn't sure they were going to show up, but when they did, it was really magical. They were just so cute.
You think it's okay to take a couple pictures of them?
Yeah, no problems. They don't seem to notice the flashes much.
Okay. So I asked Nigel if it was okay, because I mean, we're touching nature now, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to intrude on the penguins at all.
They're so small. They're tiny penguins. They also moved more slowly than I thought they would, and it was an amazing thing to see.
Now, would they go back to the ocean tonight? Seeing the fairy penguins was absolutely one of the highlights of the trip.
In loving remembrance of Eliza Valdinay.
Here's a page from our traveler's notebook. If you'd like to plan a trip to Swan Island, here are a few things to consider. Swan Island is in the southern hemisphere, and summer months are between December and February, with an average temperature of 70 degrees. June, July, and August are winter, with an average temperature of 52 degrees. Daily flights connecting to Tasmania are available from the U.S. The charter flight to Swan Island runs around $250 per person. Take time to explore Australia's island state, Tasmania. More than 1/3 of the state is dedicated national parkland and protected forests, so you'll find many diverse eco-adventures. Contact Tourism Tasmania to help find a Tassie experience that's right for you. And once you get there, take a deep breath, because Tasmania has the cleanest air in the world.
Coming to Swan Island just led to all kinds of exploration and things that we could do. And besides the natural beauty, we found things like ruins, and we found the original lightkeeper's house.
Come on, guys. All right, good boy. Cool, go check out the ruins with us.
Yeah.
This is the very first lightkeeper ever lived
Wow.
here.
What room do you think this was?
Kitchen?
Yeah?
No.
Yeah, I think the
It's
bedroom would
small.
have been here because you'd have that great view. And there was a dining room here so you could have that big window view of the lighthouse. I think that'd be spectacular.
I'm glad we're here.
I'm so glad we're here.
Me too.
So was it worth the flight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, should we go check out some more of the island?
yeah, let's do.
Yeah. This place is wild.
It's very wild. Jason and I were walking around one afternoon and we stumbled upon this grave.
Oh my God.
Someone's buried out here. This huge, magnificent white grave that was beautiful, but it was kind of creepy out in the middle of the woods there. Eliza Baldinay died 21st of February, 1882. She was only 47 years old.
47. Wow.
It's not very old.
That's not old at all.
What do you think killed her?
I don't know. We've later found out she had been the wife of one of the original caretakers of the lighthouse. One night, Alan actually took us on a little adventure over to an abandoned house.
Alan's got this lantern in his hand, and there was a chill in the air, and you hear the wind howling in this empty house. I was a little spooked out by it. This house is a little spooky, Alan.
Well, it's not surprising. This is the room that Eliza died in.
What did she die of?
She died of dropsy mortification. Well, cancer it's called these days. Mind you, she raised 7 children. And it's quite a romantic story in its beginnings, because she was shipwrecked on Deal Island, which is near here. And there's a lighthouse on Deal Island, it still stands. And Charles Bourdonnais, who was to become her husband, was stationed there. They fell in love and they married. And then he was transferred here to Swan Island.
Alan has a little bit of a flair for the dramatic. It was a little bit creepy when we went through this place. There was nothing on the walls and beds that had springs in them.
There's a bit more to the story, because rumor has it that the ghost of Eliza is in this house. And I've seen it.
Are you serious?
Just a dim shadow at the window one dark and stormy morning when I was doing the weather report just outside. I didn't like what I saw. I went back into our house and I put the light on as quickly as possible.
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm deadly serious. Perhaps you'd like to have a look around. Let's see what we can find.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Let's go.
We can take a tour.
Let's get the heck out of here.
I think Dana was actually scared. And that was cool to see her scared.
I was a little freaked out because I believe in ghosts, so I kind of wanted to get the heck out of there. Happy birthday, baby.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I came to Swan Island to celebrate my 40th birthday. I'm kind of a private person. I don't really do a lot of fancy celebrations and a lot of big parties, and this really kind of embodied what I'm all about.
On the day of Jason's birthday, we planned a picnic down on the beach because that's what he wanted to do, and just wanted to keep it low-key and private and hang out on one of the beautiful beaches together and really take in the scenery and the moment, and I think he really enjoyed it.
I wouldn't have wanted to celebrate it any other way. So we actually had a cake, candles, toasted some Tasmanian red wine, and it was the perfect celebration.
So did you have a good time on the island?
I had an incredible time on the island.
Good.
I wanted a place that I could get away and kind of think back on what I've done in my life and what I want to do going forward.
I've enjoyed Swan Island. It's cold and windy, and it's a wild place, a place I probably would have never picked to come myself, but I've had a great time here, I really have.
There's no doubt that Swan Island is one of the more beautiful places that I've ever visited. A private island to me is a place that's completely yours. It's what you want to make of it. Wow. Beautiful.
Magnificent!
It's our island.
Private island! We're never going back!
Never going back.
Never going back.
I ain't never going back.
Find more at fineliving.com. Real information for real people.